Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Justin Wolf from Wolf Customs, and I've got something in my hand that's pretty damn cool, guys. I've been chomping at the bit to get a hold of one of these, and that is the new Mora Robust Pro. Every time Mora comes out with a new brand or a new style of knife, I'm like a kid on Christmas. I just can't wait to get my hands on it because Mora is a great knife, you know? Everybody knows that. People refer to them as, you know, a cheap knife. They're not cheap in quality, they are cheap in price. And in my opinion, that's just nothing more than an inexpensive, fantastic knife. Now, as far as the knife itself, this thing is a little bit smaller than the traditional Robust. The handle is not quite as girthy as the Robust, but it still feels really solid in the hand. Now, if you have really large hands, you might have a problem because you can see that I have average size hands. My hands aren't huge, you know, but they're not small. But you can see that it's four-fingered. But if you had big sausage fingers or something, you're not going to be able to really fit them in there too well. You're going to be overhanging, you know, or something along those lines. So this handle is not going to be for everybody. But for the average Joe, this is going to be great. Now, as far as the specs go, I'm not going to get into all that. You guys want to know the specs? Go to the websites, check them out, because going over specs is quite boring. All I'm going to tell you is it's a little bit smaller than the traditional Robust, which is fine. I prefer smaller knives anyway. Now, the sheath that it comes with, this, I will be honest with you guys, this is probably one of the better sheaths that I've seen Mora put out, with a little bit of, it has just a little bit more retention than their traditional ones. Now, I could turn this upside down and give it one good shake and this knife would come falling out. So that is still, in my opinion, not quality right there. That's junk, and I'm going to throw it away. That's fine. I am willing to sacrifice the quality of their sheath for the quality of that knife right there and how inexpensive it is. So this I can look past, which is fine because most of you guys know I make leather products as well as Kydex products. And so this is the part of the video where there's shameless product placement. Ooh. So the first sheath that I made for it was a Kydex leather hybrid. So it's got the nice thick 9-ounce veg tan on the back. It's got a nice ferro rod loop right there, and then a nice Kydex case on the front. Snaps in great, will never shake out in a billion years, and you know, just with a little push of your thumb, she comes right out. So very nice. So if you get the knife and you want to upgrade to a better sheath, here you go, especially if you like Kydex. Now, if you like leather, I have also made a leather version. I also have a neck carry version of the Kydex. I just don't have one on me. But here is the leather sheath. This handle is so great. I mean, you can make all kinds of different style sheaths with this handle. And again, let's listen. That sucker just pops into place because, like I said, the handle is shaped in such a way that you can make some really nice sheaths with this knife. So here's a little bit of a closer view of this sheath. And for anybody that's asking, yes, that back side of that loop is black. The rest of it is brown. And in fact, the inside of this sheath is black too. I did this one in a two-tone. You also notice that it has the Wolf Customs logo on the back, which I am very happy that I finally got my stamp back because the other one I broke. So having that back is awesome. Anyway, enough product placement. Let's get on to the testing of this knife, shall we? So anytime I get a new knife, whether it be a manufactured knife or a custom knife, the very first thing obviously I'm going to check, and just like most people, is we're going to check the edge and see what the edge is like. And Mora just never fails. Never. Their edges are always just wicked sharp, which is amazing because, you know, I've spent hundreds of dollars on custom knives. I get them in the mail, and the edge is not that sharp. I've had a lot of custom knives sent to me, and they won't even take hair. With Mora, I mean, it will just take hair in clumps. I don't like shaving my arms because then I look like an idiot all day. But, you know, just that little bit, you can see the hair on the blade. But like I said, with not most, excuse me, but a lot of the custom knives I've gotten, they won't take hair at all. And I get a lot of custom knives, guys, because obviously I do leather and kydex and all that fun stuff for a living. And that's half the reason why, whenever I started making knives, I wanted to make sure that my edges were as sharp, if not sharper than Mora. So, we know it's sharp. Now, let's see if it will feather stick. Now, also, a gentleman on my Wolf Customs group named Ed put out a challenge a while back with feather sticks. Now, I don't think the challenge was who can make the best feather sticks or anything like that. It was simply, get out, let's get it tried, you know, because Ed has started his channel, and his goal is to show the newcomers things, which is great, you know, because so often people will not show little things because they're afraid of people saying, oh, well, you should have known that, or, you know, this thing or the other. So with Ed's challenge was simply nothing more than to get out and try feather sticking. So let's see how she feather sticks. Getting some very nice curls here. I'm in the habit of knocking my curls off the stick. It's just one of those personal preferences. I don't generally leave them on unless it's just super windy and I can't get out of the wind. But, you know, let's be honest, half the time I don't need to rely on using curls off of a stick. Most of the time I can find tinder, whether it be on the underside of a log. But the fact is, I always carry a dry tinder bag with me anyway and collect my tinder as I go. But anyway, let me zoom in a little bit. As you can see, it does curl quite well and effortlessly, if you ask me. So finer carving tasks are always my #1 priority when it comes to knives, because I don't really subject my knives to a lot of heavy use. I do, however, believe that your knife should hold up to heavy use, and that's exactly why I test them the way that I do. You know, in all reality, I don't do a lot of batoning. The only batoning that I ever really do is if I'm making a hearth board or something along those lines. You'll never see me baton big, large pieces of hardwood or anything, because I just don't feel that you should, I don't feel that I need to subject my knife to that. If you want to beat your knife through it and everything else, then that is completely fine. It's your tool. You use your tool how you see fit. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, if, like I said, I want to see if my knives can do finer tasks. And by finer tasks, I mean if I can make a tent stake, a very simple tent stake, then I know that my knife is going to be able to do all kinds of good stuff. So, let's take that bevel off, or actually take that 90-degree off, kind of bevel it, so that way when you hammer there, it's not going to want to mushroom out. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to rotate it around it and press it in, and then rotate it around. And my knife is digging in quite well. And you know, the more that I'm using this knife, the more I'm liking it. It's balanced very nice. I mean, it's very comfortable to work with, and it just feels really good in my hand. And then I'm simply going to come in here and knock. Then we'll go back and we'll clean it up a little bit. So that will give us a place for our line if we want to make like a bowline hitch or whatever it's called. Throw it over there, slip knot, whatever you prefer. Drive this into the ground. Your cordage will have something to hold on to. Taking them off, pretty good chunks. You know, if I wanted to do it a little bit more controlled. I'm not feeling any hot spots in my hand at all, and my forearm is not getting fatigued, which is nice, because a lot of knife handles will cause hot spots or arm fatigue, where this is not at all. I'm not going to bore you with finishing sharpening that. Obviously, it's doing the trick and the job just fine. So let's move on to everybody's favorite, and let's see how she batons. Now, I don't really particularly like batoning anything over this size right here, but again, it's your tool. You want to baton a tree, that's completely fine with me. But for the sake of this video, we're going to baton this one, and we're going to baton one that's a little bit bigger. But again, I'm not going to subject this knife to doing something that it wasn't necessarily designed for. Now the goal is not for me to hit this as hard as I can and try to see how quickly I can go down this thing, but is what I want to know is as I'm batoning this, how does it feel? I mean, does it feel like I'm able to go through it smooth, or do I really got to just completely beat the crap out of it? Went through it just fine. No nicks, no chips, no nothing. Did just fine. So what about this one here? Well, this one's kind of got a little split in it already. So let's go against. I'm not going to go with the split. I'm going to go opposite of the split. And as you can see, this one's actually pressing the boundaries of the knife anyway. I'm really going to have to get out here on the tip. And the handle. This is exactly why I don't like subjecting my knives to this kind of stuff, because I'm doing something to this knife it wasn't designed for. But we need to know if it can do it, right? Which it did. Let's check out that tip. Not a thing wrong with it. No chips, no nicks, no nothing. Still in good shape. Alright, I can sit here and I can split that all day long, and I'm sure that that thing's going to hold up just fine. Now another guy in the group named Pat was wanting to see people incorporate feather stick shavings with a natural tinder to help their initial bird nest or tinder nest. Basically, it's going to prolong it. So, Pat, this part's for you. I'm not going to get ultra fancy with trying to make, almost dropped it, very fine shavings. These are just something that, like I said, I'm going to incorporate into a bird's nest for Pat. I wouldn't really consider these feathers anyway. These are more larger shavings. Alright, let's go get some tinder. Alright, so got me some cottonwood bark. I'm just going to process it up a little bit. Now this is something I've never done. I've never taken shavings or feathers and put it in my tinder bundle. Never really had the need to do that, but it is definitely not a bad idea to do. Prolong that bird nest a little bit. And obviously the more you put in there, the better it's going to be. And obviously the spine of the Mora is not very sharp, so we're just going to use the old Leatherman here. And basically, as you can see, that is definitely going to help prolong that tender bundle because it was not very big. So Pat, I like it, man. Make yourself a good sized tender bundle with a lot of those shavings, and that's nice. Alright, so most of the time when I'm doing a knife review, this would be the part where I take it in the house, I pull a steak out of the freezer, and I see just how thin I could make slices if I needed to smoke meat. Well, this knife has performed just like every other Mora I have. It performs beautifully. I have no doubt that I can make very nice slices in my steak in order to make them small enough to really smoke. I have no doubt. So I'm not going to do that today. Instead, I'm just going to leave you with my final notes or final thoughts of this knife. My final thoughts of this knife is I freaking love it. Everything about this knife I love. The handle shape is perfect. Perfect. Knife makers, take note. Handles like this, I can make good sheaths out of. Other people can make good sheaths out of. The type of sheaths that don't turn into bucket sheaths. When you turn them upside down, the damn knife falls out. Stop being lazy on your handles. Your handles can make and break knives. Fits the hand great. If you have gorilla paws, you might have an issue. I don't know for sure. But I do not have gorilla paws, and you can see that my hand fits in there very nice. The handle is very comfortable. It's a very good size. It's not too small, and it's definitely not too robust. The rubber is very nice. Get that thing wet or get blood on that, and it's not going to want to slip off. I can't feel this thing twisting in my hand. It's not like a round handle. Broomstick style handles. A lot of times they twist in the hand, and that's what causes hot spots. That's what causes forearm fatigue. This one does not. The edge is still just freaking razor sharp, which is very nice. Obviously the spine, just like every other Mora aside from the Bushcraft and the Mora Black, is horrible, but that's very easy to fix up with a file or a belt sander. The sheath obviously is rubbish, but who cares? As inexpensive as these knives are, you can actually afford then to invest a little bit in a higher quality sheath like the Kydex hybrid that I make or the leather, and you're not going to be breaking the bank, and you're going to have a reliable knife. You're going to have a reliable sheath. A lot of people are under the assumption that since these knives are so inexpensive, who cares if you lose it? You can just replace that. Tell that to the person that's lost, needs their knife, and has lost their knife. Invest in a good sheath for your Moras. Turn your inexpensive Mora into a wonderful knife that is going to be there when you need it. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video on the Mora Robust Pro, and I just cannot wait to get my hands on future Moras as they come out. Anyway, thank you guys, and as always, have a good one.